Laura, thanks so much for being here. I know from working with you before, you like to come up with new ideas and new projects. You've even said you sometimes go through magazines and something will inspire you, but you create your own. But this is this project you're going to show us today is a little different. How did you come up with it?
A lot of my projects also come from necessity. Something bothers me and I come up with a handmade solution for it. So in this case, everybody has electronic toys now. And I have a reader, an electronic reader, and they come with beautiful, you can get beautiful leather cases and things, but those are quite heavy. And I needed something that I could travel light with, basically. So I came up with these little cozies to protect the reader when it's in my purse, but it's not going to add a lot of weight because it's just fabric.
I see. And I can feel the padding, and that's what's important with the technology, the electronics.
We want it to be cozy.
Cozy. Oh, I catch. And here's another one that just has the Velcro strip at the top.
Right.
The other one had a tab with Velcro, so good way to use up some little scraps that you've had on hand.
You know, I love to use fabric scraps.
But you actually hand painted this one, so
I did hand draw that fabric.
If we're so creative, we could do that. Okay, how do we start?
The first thing to do is get a piece of felt. That gives it the little bit of padding and makes it cozy.
And there's different thicknesses, so you could make your decision based on the weight of the stabilizers.
Right, and I mean, this isn't going to protect it if you drop it on the ground, but it's going to keep the screen from getting scratched up in your purse because my purse has
sunglasses or whatever.
In it.
You're right.
So this project would work really for anything from a cell phone up to a tablet. You could probably even do a laptop case actually with this same technique. What you need to do is you need to take your device and lay it down on two pieces of felt and measure around it about a ½ inch around.
Add an extra ½ inch.
In this case, it's 6 by 9 inches. And just sew 3 sides, leaving one end open.
Oh, okay. Like a pillowcase.
Right, but you don't want to clip right now or turn anything out. Then you want to get a pretty fabric. In this case, I used this, for example. And lay the piece you just cut out on top of the 2 pieces of fabric that are facing right sides together. And cut around it.
You don't make it any extra bigger.
No, because
same size. Okay.
Because you're gonna then cut around
I see.
this. That's why it's, again, you know how much I like to do shortcuts.
Okay, so then you'll trim that to just very close to the stitching line.
Right, and that will give you the right sizing difference for your lining.
Yeah, that makes sense now.
Once you have both pieces cut out, you'll want to turn this so that the right sides are facing out. And this is always the trickiest part when you're lining something, because you don't want to have your raw edges on the inside lining. So the way you put this into the lining is you take the lining on the outside, you put...
use your hand,
and you tuck it in.
Yeah, that step's easy once you get the other one turned correctly.
Right.
Push
you
it
just
out
need to
corners.
pay attention, and the great thing about using felt is you don't have to worry about which is the right and wrong side necessarily.
No, it doesn't matter.
So once those are sewn, you'll sew about a ¼ inch around the top.
So you're finishing that top edge
and
now.
And leave one little opening so you can turn it out. And then you're going to have a nice, clean inside with none of those seams. It gets a little confusing. I start to get lost when I'm turning this out because then you're like, what
did I do wrong?
But don't fret at all. Just take a deep breath. It'll all come to you. So once it's like pulled out like this, then you tuck it back in.
So no pressing. I mean, you just are pressing it with your hand as you put it together.
And then you just slide it back in.
And like you say, you could make this to fit your cell phones. You could make it to fit a tablet or whatever.
And so you can see by doing that technique, then you don't have a rough edge. It looks nice and finished and professional.
And now we got to make a closure.
Well, you still have an opening. You know, you want to stitch.
That's right.
Fold those down and top stitch.
Okay, just to finish
to clean that up. Then you want to make a closure. And I just cut a little piece of
That's
felt
the tab technique that
to
we
do the
used here.
tab.
Uh-huh.
And I sewed a piece of Velcro tape onto one end. And I used the rough side.
The loop.
The loop type, the hook side. The reason I did that is when it's open, that will leave the softer side on here, and when I'm brushing against it, and it won't stick to other things.
That's a good point, yeah.
It's something that people, when they're using Velcro tape, don't always think ahead, and that really makes the difference in ease of use. And then I just stitched, this is the Sew-On brand of Velcro fastener.
And really the sew-on, I think, would provide longevity to the project.
Exactly. You're going to be pulling,
because
because if you're a reader like me, you're going to be pulling
in
it on
and out.
So you'll want to go in and sew on the one side and then tuck your
other tab
other tab, making sure that wherever you place it, I kind of tuck it in and make sure that it's going to connect.
like you did on this one. I see.
And then sew right along where you top stitched so that you don't have a lot of stitches showing. To cover up, I also just give it a little extra, because I have to admit, I don't know how to sew buttons on my sewing machine.
Okay.
So Velcro makes it look like I have a button closure.
Well, that's good. What an easy project, and like you say, it was sort of born out of necessity, knowing that you wanted something light. And sometimes when people travel, too, their suitcases may be almost to the limit, so if you could eliminate that big leather case, this would help.
And for this one, you could do a little longer, and instead of doing the tab, you could just sew the Velcro tape into the inside to have a full closure.
Sure, and it folds closed nicely. Well, thank you very much, Laura. I appreciate learning how to do this.